Hey everyone, Chris and Jim back for another monthly update. I've been on the road a lot the last month, and there's been a lot of positive buzz around build to rent, but especially the new build to rent developments with our company. Now, as a lot of you know, about 2 months ago, we were acquired by Guillen Homes, which is owned by Sumitomo, a 332-year-old forestry company, which has a pretty fascinating background. But I've been getting a lot of questions out on the road and talking to a lot of clients. So I wanted to do a direct video to tell you about this exciting development and how it benefits you and the future of us working together. Chris, do you want to talk a little bit about how this all came about? It's a pretty big story and a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sumitomo Forestry, as Jim mentioned, has been around for over 330 years. They're a publicly traded company in Japan, and they have been taking on an initiative of globalization, specifically as it relates to housing across the world. Right now, they're completing about 25,000 homes annually in the United States and globally. So some of the other areas that they build are obviously Japan, Indonesia, Australia, and a heavy focus on the United States home building sector. So they were very interested in acquiring our company due to the fact that we're in the build to rent space, which they're currently not in, and the fact that we're in Florida, which is a target market for them, which they also were not currently in. They've primarily been in Texas, Arizona, and then the Northeast with some of their other home builders. They currently own 2 of the top 30 privately held home builders in the country. So this is a real powerhouse of a company that has acquired us. And the great thing about it is they have a very much a Buffett-like style in the way that they acquire properties, or companies, I should say. So when they acquire a company, they acquire a majority controlling interest, but not the entire company, so that the existing principals have skin in the game going forward. And then they also allow the existing principals and the existing management team to stay within the company and continue to manage the company on a day-to-day basis. But what they really do is they support us with a lot of back-end technology and a lot of back-end capital. So we no longer have the day-to-day dealings with our financial institutions, which we had in the past. They're now supplying all of our capital as well as all of our equity. And they're also supplying a lot of the technology on the back end. So taking a lot of the pressure off of our existing staff from having to deal with new programs, new softwares. A lot of this implementation is being done behind the scenes with their teams. So it's giving us a lot of extra support so we can do what we really want to do, which is focus on growing the business and the operational efficiencies that we look for every day in these companies. And that's both from a home building and a property management perspective. So, Jim, I know that you've been looking a lot into what's happening on the property management side and how this is going to benefit us there. So I don't know if you want to speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, this was an exciting thing, and I know a mentor of mine once said, sometimes you prune the hedges to make it grow back better. And that's what we saw with this opportunity, to be better capitalized, better systemized, and really be all able to grow this service to benefit everyone involved. And by taking, when you're a builder, you're always raising capital from banks, and now with that part of the equation out, Chris and I can focus on 2 things that we really love, and that's building really good properties and getting them managed the right way. And if there's one thing we've learned with the build to rent program and venture that I think we're leading the charge in proudly, is good management. So a lot of our former resource on raising capital and dealing with banks is now being able to be reined back to a new focus, and that's management. I'd say in the next year, obviously still wanting to build the best houses in the best areas of Florida and probably soon Texas, so just to give you a little heads up of our direction, we want to work on management. I remember another mentor of mine saying, you can buy a property for 50 cents on the dollar, but if you don't have management in place, it could be a bad deal. And that's always stuck with me. So even though I know we build in the best areas and the best houses, Chris and I always have in our forefront mind, how can we get the properties managed better for ourselves and for you, the clients? So over the next 6 to 12 months, we are really going to be digging in deep to the processes, systems, and follow-up that we do through the property management. Because we know as we grow this build-to-rent venture and we see it going to quite a larger expansion, we know good management has to be in place. So you guys are going to be contacted by us. Some of you already own properties with us. You know, we're going to be going to you for feedback, for suggestions, for the best way that we can serve you in the property management. We have some really neat initiatives that we can now focus on with this Guillen Homes and Sumitomo stepping in to support us. So property management is going to be a key part. And we're excited to have you be a part of that, because as we know, you guys don't want second or third jobs. You are looking to buy a successful portfolio that continues to grow the way that real estate has shown. And I know with good management in place, that's going to really give an even larger return to you guys, not only in the short term, but definitely in the long term. Chris, anything overall with rental properties too, just demand here in Florida? I know we talked about it last week. Are you still seeing things on a good level here? Because I know certain areas of the country have softened, but as we joked last month, we haven't seen it yet here in Florida.
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, I just got back from the IMN, which was up in Nashville this time, and it was the build to rent portion of the IMN. So they have different conferences throughout the country every year, or a couple times a year actually. And in this particular conference, it was a lot of the institutional investors that were showing up to this conference to, you know, talk about what's going on in the market, what everybody sees in the marketplace. You know, the interesting thing is everybody looks at Florida as the shining light of this economy. You know, there's a lot of struggles going on that we're very much insulated to in the fact that we don't build outside of Florida currently. And we don't manage outside of Florida, with the exception of some properties in Atlanta. Yeah. But the vast majority of our portfolio is here in Florida. And so Florida has been performing better than any other market throughout this little bit of a, you know, what we call what we're calling a downturn right now. I'm not sure what we're calling this officially, but Florida has been, you know, across the board for all of these institutional investors. They're seeing the same things that we are. They've seen an uptick in demand for rentals here in the first part of 2023. And they're also seeing a start of coming back of rent increases. Now, I don't want to overplay that, but, you know, in our meeting here, you know, last week in our internal meetings, but then again reiterated in these meetings that I had up in Nashville, everyone's starting to see, you know, a little upward movement again in rents. You know, rents have dipped down and or stayed flat here for the past, you know, 3-4 months, and we're starting to see movement in an upward direction. Not in every market in Florida, but you know, several markets we're starting to see that trend. So I think that we're starting to get back to maybe some sort of normalized rent growth again. We're still seeing great absorptions. I will say the end of February started to taper. It wasn't nearly as strong as the end of January, but still very, very strong results that we're seeing from a rental standpoint. You know, and the other thing I think is worth pointing out, you know, when I talk to these institutions and we compare the metrics that we all work off of, our team is doing very, very well and outperforming a lot of these institutional type investors. And I think that is really a testament to what's going on here at Suncoast, which we're going to try to expand upon. You know, because our goal at the end of the day is to be able to provide the same or better management services than the institutionals, so that, you know, we're giving to our clients what an institutional investor could get without our client having to go buy 3,000 homes. You know, to be able to get that quality of service with buying 2, 3, 10, 12 homes. So, you know, I felt really good after leaving this meeting where we are in the market, particularly in Florida, but even Texas, you know, which is where we plan to grow to next. The metrics are still very good there. Yep. Very similar politics, very similar state as Florida. We're really excited to move into that state. And from a building perspective, you know, it's great to move into that state with the support of Guillen and Sumitomo, where they've had such a long-term footprint and foothold in that Texas market for the past 30 years.
Yeah, yeah, and that plays into our overall plan of what we're doing with each of you. And again, you guys all saw the value in what we were doing. Maybe you used to do older homes and you went to new construction like Chris and I and said, I'm never going back to old homes like Chris and I have. And we're humbled that someone like Sumitomo, you know, a 332-year-old company, saw the value in what we do, not only now, but 5 years and 20 years from now. And what I can assure you with the way that they give autonomy to run the company better capitalized and with better systems, that is something that's going to benefit all of us. And just to give a little bit of reassurance, Chris and I aren't going anywhere. We're extremely excited for what we're about to build. We're excited that we're able to focus on more exciting parts of the company, like improving building systems and property management, and that is going to benefit all of us, not only in years to come, but over the next 12 months. So this has been a great move. We're excited for the things that we're going into. We're still seeing really good things here in our Florida markets, and we appreciate you continuing to work with us. This past quarter was our busiest quarter since the end of 2021. So that is something that really speaks volume. Those numbers don't lie, and we're really appreciative that you are a part of it. So with that, I know that we got a lot going on, so we'll look to see you guys next month, and we appreciate all of the reach outs and continued work with us.
Have a good one, everybody.
Take care.